All right, welcome everyone. I'm going to give everybody a few moments to join, and then we will start off with a quick intro about Acelab. We're helping out with hosting today's event, presented by Andy from Slatted. Really excited to bring you today's product presentation on specifying upcycled hardwoods in celebration of a circular economy. Slatted has some really excellent products that we're really excited for you guys to learn some more about. All right, looks like we've got a good amount of folks in the door. So I'm going to go ahead and give a quick little introduction about Acelab, show you how to get in touch with today's presenter if you've got any follow-up questions after today's webinar, as well as a little bit about what to expect after today's webinar and a quick preview of some of our newer features. So everyone who signs up for a webinar with us gets a free Acelab account automatically created. You can head to acelabusa.com to check out some of the resources we have. There's a bunch of searchable product categories if you're looking for a more guided search experience. You can also get in touch with our team directly here through this live chat. This is staffed by real people, not bots. So we've got a whole team of architectural professionals on board to help you out with your research. But if you know exactly who you're looking for, you can always use the search bar in the top, type in the name of any manufacturer. It'll also cross-check between categories and resources. And you can head over to their page on Acelab, just make sure you're selected on brands there. From here, you can explore some more about the manufacturer and their company. You can get in touch with Andy directly by hitting this contact button and scrolling down here. You can explore their products, save them to your projects, and then opening up their product pages gives you some more information where you can see an overview of the product performance and description, as well as access performance data and downloads on these pages as well. So this is a great place to come if you're looking for some more information after today's event and you want to get in touch with Andy directly. We'll also give you the opportunity to indicate interest in getting some follow-up information. If you say yes to that, our team will go ahead and create a conversation for you. Your conversations are all hosted up here. So all of your kind of personal account stuff is right up here in the top right. If you click this icon here, that'll bring you to your conversations. So Acelab is a great way to keep your conversations with reps and manufacturers all organized along with your product research. You'll also receive an email anytime you've got a new message on Acelab. You can respond directly to those emails, and that'll log in Acelab's platform as well. All right, and then to show you guys a quick preview of some of our newer stuff that we recently launched. This is currently accessible for beta users, so if you're interested in getting some early access to this, I'll drop my colleague's meeting link in the chat momentarily. You can set up a quick demo and we'll get you all set up. This is our schedules tool. It's basically a really flexible way to store your product data. It allows you to pull in existing data points from Acelab, as well as create any number of custom data points. So if you want to give things specific statuses, tag them into different assemblies, you can really add in whatever data you would like here. You can also add notes, and this is fully collaborative with your team. So you can have team members, everybody can kind of view all of your product data in one place and stay up to date with, any notes or comments that you have about using that product. We can also store rep information here, so it's a great way to kind of keep all of your communication integrated with your product information. So if you're interested in getting access to schedules, feel free to set up a quick demo with our team. We'll help you get this all loaded up. So we'll take your, project files, your messy spreadsheets, and we'll actually go through a process of kind of organizing that for you and getting it uploaded onto Acelab's platform. So it really can help with setting up your firm library and saving you some time there. All right. That's it for me. The last thing I want to mention is just to please feel free to ask questions throughout today's presentation using the Q&A. We should have some time to get to some of those live. And if we don't get to your question live today, we'll have a record of it so we can follow up with you after today's event. All right, Andy, whenever you're ready, feel free to go ahead and take it away.
Thanks, Bo. Hey, everybody. Thanks for your interest in upcycled woods and celebration of circularity. Circular products. My name's Andy Shelgren, and I've been working with upcycled and reclaimed woods for about 22 years, mainly in the Northeast, in the New York City and Boston projects, and mainly commercial projects. But I'm very passionate about what we're going to talk about today. And Slatted's whole reason for being is to offset the use of forested hardwoods in built projects. So we've been out here trying to spread that message for years, and excited to talk to you about it today. As Bo said, you know, it's really about a discussion. Good or bad, I'm a wood expert, an expert in sustainable woods. So any questions you have, I'm going to take you on a little journey, my own journey. But if you have any questions, let's make this an informative discussion. There's no questions that are off limits, or don't have to stay on topic. But anything that has to do with wood, I might be able to add some value. So thank you. All right, so we'll start. The cornerstone, of our reason is all about trees, and it's all about keeping the trees that are in the forest, helping them remain in the forest as long as we can. So everybody knows that forests are struggling on the planet, but I thought I'd start just telling you a little bit about trees and why they're so amazing and frankly worth our efforts to find an alternative material in our building projects. So trees are machines basically that turn light, water, and carbon dioxide into energy in the form of wood and sugars. Truly, obviously, an incredible process, unlike anything else on the planet. No other human-made machines do this. Trees are amazing. A byproduct of this process of building a tree and building wood is that they release oxygen as a byproduct, as a waste product. And none of us would argue that we're glad that is the case. So they also sequester atmospheric carbon. So the carbon that we as humans and the natural processes give off, CO2, into the atmosphere. And because the trees absorb that, they sequester it. They hold it in a harmless form into perpetuity. And these are all, we hear a lot about carbon sequestration these days and climate change. And these are all essential mechanisms to keep humans and keep biology functioning on the planet. So celebration of trees. Humans also have a natural affinity for wood. It's a relatively easy building material to work with. Natural materials kind of kick into our biophilic responses. So when we're around wood, when we're around natural materials, our heart rates decrease, our endorphin levels decrease. We're just generally happier, more content animals. And so surrounding ourselves with wood and natural materials has definite benefits, both physical and say emotional or psychological benefits for our culture. Obviously, just a great building material, wood is. Also modulates temperature. So if you've ever, you can stand on a wooden deck with your bare feet in the sunshine, and generally wood has modulated that temperature so that it doesn't scald your feet. If you try other materials, obviously metal, plastic, those don't have the same kind of temperature modulation benefits that wood does. So again, just really an amazing material that we all would agree. So where Slatted looks to help solve some of these concerns about keeping trees in the forest. We're going to look at the Amazon. For probably the last 40 years, people have been consuming these amazing old growth hardwoods that come from the Amazon. It's hard to argue that these are really incredible materials. High performance, beauty, and unfortunately very low cost. But this has created over 40 years of pressure on the Amazon. Nowadays, the Amazon is facing, clear cutting for farming, clear cutting for cattle grazing, and then timber harvesting. So those are the three kind of main pressures on the forest. Slatted and folks that are on this call what we're trying to do is offset the consumption of old growth hardwoods that come from the Amazon. So, in order to do that, we need to supply you with some alternatives. We need to help you understand why it's so urgent to stop specifying Amazon forested hardwoods. It's very easy to specify. As I said, the pricing on material is very low artificially. But once we gain a little bit more understanding of the situation, and we kind of embrace the alternatives, and I'll show you some of the exciting elements of these alternatives, we think it will be a kind of a no-brainer that the design community starts to move away from specifying kind of these really magnificent trees that need to stay living in the forest. Bo, if there's any questions, again, will you help me field them or let me know there are questions at any point? I'd love to digress.
Yep, sounds good.
Okay, so again, I've been doing this for a long time, and the audience has changed. The architecture and design community has gotten much more savvy, much more sophisticated, and much more interested in alternative materials. So bravo and kudos to everybody that's kind of on board there. We'll go through a couple of in terms of wood, I'd like to take you through a couple of the alternatives to rainforested hardwoods. We'll talk about some of the pros and cons, and then we'll go into some specifics. But one of the key I guess, phenomenon here is that in shifting our focus over to alternatives to forested hardwoods, we need to also shift our kind of aesthetic. So we're used to cutting down, these are literally 800-year-old old growth trees. Years ago, we didn't even bother with the sections of the trees that had branches. So we were just taking the trunks, the clear, amazing wood, and putting that into our projects. And when you do that, you get wood that is, or you can get wood that is kind of featureless, homogeneous, and in some ways could be construed as kind of boring. So we're going to explore what you might need to embrace if you're looking away from using 800-year-old old growth hardwoods in your projects. This picture in the background here just shows you, again, some of the core of what we do, but taking these are bench slats from New York City, and taking off a 32nd of an inch of this patina, which is frankly beautiful and could be used in certain projects. But if we're going to more of a traditional aesthetic, we just take off a 32nd of an inch, and we're left with this wood that's in the left third of your screen. So it looks brand new. It's stable. It's seasoned. In many ways, it's superior to forested hardwoods, and you get a lot of excitement and bragging rights kind of imbued into your projects when you use innovative materials that aren't just easy to yank out of the forest. Sorry, I'm having a... Okay, so some of the options we have for alternatives to forested hardwoods, forested tropical hardwoods. So one of the first questions I like to ask my clients is there any wood on the project that could be reused? So I think we're so used to demolition is kind of a separate action, and then we build back. But now we're starting to kind of mix those two conversations. I'm sure most everybody on the call is familiar and used to exploring what's already on the site, but this can yield very exciting, kind of budget boons to projects if given given the right circumstances, given the right materials. So that's something to explore, at least have a conversation with your teams about it. Post-consumer hardwoods are the core of what we do at Slatted. So we have sources of wood that comes from previous structures. So post-consumer reclaimed means it had a prior life. It didn't come directly from the forest. It comes from a building or a bridge or some structure where the wood was used originally. That structure is now outlived its usefulness. It's deconstructed. The wood is cleaned up and it's reused in a project. So it's a very elegant way to use materials. And we're going to talk a little bit more in detail about that. So, alternatives to forested tropical hardwoods from the Amazon, like ipe and kumaru, and some of these words that we've heard before. Domestic softwoods can be a stand-in for some materials. Softwoods grow more quickly. So when you cut them down, you're not devastating the planet as much as you are when you cut down a 1,000-year-old ipe tree. So there are options there. They're fast grown. They're inexpensive. If you look at these new products like heat treated and acetylized softwoods like ebony and akoya, that's what they've done. They embrace fast growing, kind of low cost softwoods, and then they do a process to them where they act more like hardwoods. So exciting process, very popular products. Another way to stay out of the Amazon. Black locust is a locally grown domestic fast-growing tree. Can be used for exterior applications. It has some issues. It's not real stable, but it is an option, and it's a more sustainable option than going with ipe. And then we have Trex and recycled plastic lumber, which have their pros and cons as well. But anyway, today we're going to talk specifically about post-consumer reclaimed woods and site-restored materials. So materials reuse, again, it's grazing cattle, it's raising soybeans. Those are two big hits on the Amazon. The third is illegally harvesting hardwoods. Even legally harvesting hardwoods is not good. So materials reuse is a concept that we really want to kind of build out, celebrate, discuss. And as I said earlier, it kind of requires a new aesthetic language. So if you have a piece of wood with a nail hole or a bolt hole, you need to consider that. Does that work for your client? What could you do to celebrate that, to either disguise that sign of prior use or celebrate it? How can you shift your design to embrace, say, even smaller dimension material rather than large kind of continuous material? So it's just really, I think it's really about just getting your teams to ask these questions. There's been a bit of a pushback for some very kind of traditional design firms that, that only want a certain tone and grain to the wood. And sometimes, upcycled wood is not going to be viable for your projects, but we can also supply upcycled woods that look new. So it's really about communicating what's important to the project, what's important to your clients, sustainability, traditional aesthetic versus new aesthetic. We call it the aesthetics of sustainability. So it's embracing signs of prior use, and making it cool. I'm not talking about barnwood necessarily. I'm talking about surfaced material that looks like traditional wood, but comes from not from the forest. So wood is by nature, by its very nature, a circular product. As I mentioned earlier, you can sand off a 32nd of an inch and you have a new piece of wood. So you've also not touched that carbon. The carbon that tree originally sequestered kind of follows that wood from structure to structure through time and remains sequestered. So a really elegant, beautiful solution. You can start to think of your wood products as kind of migrating through time. They started in the forest. Maybe they were in a bridge. Now they're in your project. Next year, or not next year, but maybe in 10 years, they'll be, in another, in a condominium, and they just can keep going. So a very exciting concept. Signs of prior use are a design opportunity and not a design kind of liability. They also, using post-consumer reclaimed woods, helps your client demonstrate their commitment to the environment. So if you're selling to them and they're not sure about using post-consumer reclaimed, you can mention that using this wood on their building is a calling card, is kind of a permanent sign that they are committed to sustainability and to doing their part to take care of the planet. So by nature, circular wood products do reduce demand and take pressure off the Amazon. We talked about carbon sequestration, which remains intact. Pressure off the Amazon increases biodiversity, helps the indigenous folks in the Amazon remain more stable, sustainable populations, and they can hang on to this incredible, valuable environment that they basically, own, possess, and they can create equity by using Amazon forest products instead of selling or getting their forest basically stolen from them. So that's a little difficult maybe to understand. I didn't explain it that well, but another positive benefit to exploring post-consumer reclaimed woods and staying away from Ipe and Kumaru. So again, the wood is able to be constantly and repeatedly reused. So just another aspect, another element to why this is so exciting. So again, we are all about upcycled wood. So we consider we use the term reclaimed for years. We've shifted it to upcycled. We believe that we take wood that's in a kind of a lower level format, maybe a structural element of a building, and we put it into your flooring or your wall paneling, and we think that's upcycling the material. So that's why slatted uses upcycled. We also think reclaimed wood has a connotation that we're trying to leave behind. It kind of recalls barnwood, recalls traditional Starbucks hip recycling aesthetics, and we think that it's time to get past that and really take that into the next level. So you also with post-consumer reclaimed wood, you get incredible beauty. Because you're tending to work with old growth material. So these are trees that were originally from the forest, old growth, 1,000 years old. They grow slowly. They are stunningly beautiful. fast-grown, plantation-grown materials. Anytime you push something to grow quickly and you have a monoculture environment like a farm, you're gonna have a lower quality end product. So so what you get, even if you have to celebrate the bolt holes and the checking and the signs of prior use, you get that old growth beauty, you get the tight grain performance, you get stable materials. So the value is there, the soul is there, and again, the commitment to the environment for you, for your clients, is there and can be celebrated through time. So I'll tell you, I'm just going to drop into a couple of our particular focuses these days. We've developed a modular wall ecosystem. So it's basically slats in different finishes and different species, all post-consumer reclaimed material. And then we have a metal carrier, like a channel. And so it's those two components. It's slats and the metal carrier. It's not a panel. It's not a 4x8 sheet of wood that we're transporting across the country. It's a pile of slats and a pile of metal carriers. And we have 5 different metals. We have 5 different woods. So you can create over 25 different products using our modular wall ecosystem. Here's a couple details of some of the combinations. Again, because it's circular, it's demountable. You can take it, you can easily take it off, take it with you when you go. You don't damage the material when you deconstruct it. So it maintains its value in a traditional, say, floor or wall application where you're using a tongue and groove. You're going to rip a lot of that wood apart when you take it down. This is just basically reverse installing it. Slatted has a buyback program for this material. So if you do leave and you don't want to take it with you, we will buy it back because then we can take it. We don't have to reprocess that, and we can move it into the next project. Flat pack shipping and an amazing variety of looks that you can elicit with this product without going custom. So it's kind of by nature a custom product. I'm seeing a question here, owner's rep question. How can the designer reassure the client that repurposed products will retain structural integrity or general durability on par with new product? Are these resources that can objectively prove this out? Are there resources that can objectively prove this out? Clients are often hyper-focused on long-term performance. So great question. When you're looking at structural timbers, reclaimed wood gets graded and can be graded like any new wood. So, you know, if you're looking at a beam, say a 10 by 10 beam for a timber frame house, a lumber grader is going to look at slope of grain, which you have also in reclaimed. They're going to look at knots. A knot and a bolt hole in a lumber grader's eye are basically the same. So they're all that to say that reclaimed wood can adhere to a lumber grading criteria, and it does. So that's for structural timbers. When you're talking about you know, cladding or decking, as I said, the old growth material just by nature is better. So the idea that post-consumer reclaimed is somehow less structurally sound or say weaker than new wood is not true. So yeah, I don't know if that's an adequate answer. It's I think it speaks more to yeah, maybe a natural thought from the client, but you could easily kind of dissuade them with an argument about the facts. And the bottom line is that reclaimed wood generally is better structurally. Now, if you're gonna it also has to do with the vendor. You know, we're going to give you wood. All that wood is going to be structurally sound and good to use. That's not always been the case in this industry, but today it is. So that was a long-winded answer, but hope I helped. Let's see here. I'm trying to turn the questions off. Sorry. Okay. Okay. So we also do, and we do a lot of exterior woods in our business. I have a personal passion for exterior projects because they tend to use ePay. They tend to consume lots of forested Amazon hardwoods. And you know, they're very visual, often in the public used by the public. And so they're great opportunities for education. They're great opportunities to demonstrate that post-consumer reclaimed is, as the person asked the question, is as structurally sound as new wood. And just a great opportunity and a place we need to move. ePay is too easy to spec. It's too inexpensive. We need to create a pushback against it because, and I think this group is how we do that. You know, designers finally standing up and saying, we're not specifying ePay. And here's the thing, and not to digress too much, but as the forest and the Amazon forest question becomes more and more a common topic of discussion, as it has over the past 20 years, it's going to be really uncool to use forested hardwoods. So we should all start to prep for an alternative, because in 10 years, you're absolutely not, you probably won't be able to, but you will absolutely not want to put forested ipe, kumaru, any slow growing, old growth hardwood in your projects. It's not going to be a good look. So, okay. Okay, so there's a project we're just completing in New York City, public project. This is reclaimed teak, upcycled teak. Comes from building demolition, and no trees were touched for this project. More projects. This is ulen from Indonesia, another species that we work with. Stunningly beautiful, and an alternative to forested hardwoods. So we want to get into the conversation early. We want to help coach you, help educate you, share our passion with you. You know, if we can have a discussion around early in a project, are there woods on site that could be reused? What are the options for post-consumer reclaimed? What are the pros and cons of those materials? It's going to take more of your bandwidth, which is why we show up ready to go, trying to bring value, trying to educate, trying to cut down on your, you know, we want to be your wood expert. We're not riveted to selling you wood. We're riveted to educating you and helping you to specify things that aren't tropical hardwoods, forested tropical hardwoods. So that's how we work, and that's how you can find us. So we work directly with the architecture and design community. More and more large firms, firms that are leaders in the industry, are embracing post-consumer reclaimed. They're moving away from you know, forested hardwoods. So it's really happening. We also love talking to GCs and installers. They tend to have different criteria, different different things that are important to them. But using upcycled woods can check a lot of their boxes as well. And they get very excited about what they're doing for the environment. And then just the celebration of circular products. I mean, how elegant is that to use a product and then even just talk about how it can be used into perpetuity in the next project. Just when your brain starts to think like that, you start to apply that thinking to all kinds of products and materials. And I think that's going to lead us all into a very exciting earth-friendly place. So that's what I have for you today. That was brief. I hope it was somewhat interesting. Again, we would love to we'd love to stay on here. And if you have any questions about current projects that you're working on, you know, anything about what I just said, anything you disagree with, we'd love to hear your thoughts.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much, Andy. Yeah, feel free to submit any questions or thoughts to the Q&A. You can also raise your hand. I'll keep my eye on that if you would like to ask a question or chat out loud. You don't have to turn your video on, so I promise it's not super scary. But while we're waiting to see if any folks have any additional questions, I'm going to go ahead and do a quick recap of what we covered at the beginning. So this is just to show you guys how to get in touch with Andy directly on Acelab. This is a great place to come if you have some questions that happen after today's webinar, or if you want to connect about a specific project. So Acelab has a bunch of free resources here. You can use the search bar at the top to search for any brand or vendor and head over to their brand page on Acelab. Here you can use this contact button to get in touch directly with Andy. If it's regarding a project, you'll have the ability to like quickly upload some project details that can help out with just kind of simplifying the collaboration. And then scrolling down here, if you want to just explore some more about their products, save them into your library or into your projects, you can do that here as well. So this is a great place to come after today's webinar. I'll send over a link to this in the chat again so that everybody has it on hand. And yeah, if you have any questions about using Acelab, you can always also reach out to us using this live chat feature down here, and we're happy to help connect you with you know, specific reps or just help you out with using the platform in general. All right, awesome. Let me send that link in the chat here now. All right, and I do have a few questions that I think might be helpful to just kind of like chat about out loud. But let's see. So are there any like specific documentation that you can provide for LEED or other green building certifications to help architects to be able to kind of, you know, communicate the value of your products to their clients?
Yeah, absolutely. So Slatted only sells FSC certified materials. So anything you buy from Slatted is going to be FSC certified.
Mhm.
We mainly focus, and we like to focus on post-consumer reclaimed. That is FSC certified. They have I think it's FSC certified reclaimed is the official designation. So, so anything you buy from us will come with that. We also work with new FSC certified woods. Same thing. If you went that direction, you would get the certification with the product. I'm a lead AP, so love to engage in discussions around lead and to try to strategize and understand how product selection can improve your point score with your projects. And let's see, we're also I don't know if this may be slightly. We're also becoming a women-owned business shortly, and so. You know, from a different perspective, that will. I know that more and more projects are going that way. They need to use a certain number of companies that are minority and women-owned businesses, and soon we'll be one of those. So that's another aspect to just throw out there.
Awesome. All right, and then something else I know that architects are always wondering about is around pricing and lead times. So yeah, could you give a like maybe kind of rough estimate of what your typical lead times are and then pricing? Obviously I know it can differ. But yeah, if you could maybe talk a little bit about how like pricing of upcycled hardwoods compares to like an Ipe or to a Kebney in general.
Sure. Um, so if we look at our interior products and our slatted system, you're going to look at, say, apples to apples. That's like the slat panels that are kind of everywhere right now.
Mhm.
Um, our materials, our slats and metal carriers start at $28 a square foot and go up to like high 30s. So that's the kind of range. I would say it's slightly under what you're going to pay for a slat panel. Now, it's a great question, Bo, in terms of the hardwoods. Ipe, you can buy Ipe. Something like 60 to 90% of the hardwoods that are imported into this country are illegally logged. So there's a huge black market for hardwoods, and if you look at some of the numbers, it's just astonishing. But you can buy Ipe probably for $10 a square foot, something like that. Our Ullin decking is about 20. So, it's about double. Teak is in the high 20s to $30 a square foot. So it can be difficult on budgets, but we can also look at, changing dimensions. That's something we like to do, is if we can thin down materials, if they're spec'd at 1.25 inches and we can go to 7/8, that's material that we don't provide, and that drops the price, significantly. So those are some of the ways we can work around some of the inherent price challenges in upcycled woods. But yeah, so there's gonna be a bit of a premium on these because there's a lot. It's pulling metal. It's a lot of hand labor. But we think, and we've seen over the years, that the price per square foot of this material, it can kind of flourish within the budgets of the projects that we typically work on, and those are common projects that I'm sure folks on this call are engaged with.
Mhm. Awesome. What do you think, I guess kind of related, somebody had asked a question earlier about for like owners and how designers can kind of reassure clients about structural integrity. What are recommendations you might have for how architects can talk to their clients about, maybe spending a little bit more on a material that is ultimately more sustainable and, better for the environment and better for the economy? Are there like any specific talking points that you think are helpful to use with clients?
Yeah, it's a great question. Fundamentally, I think it's convincing yourself that this is the way to go, and that requires a little bit of education, a little bit of fresh perspective, a little bit of questioning how we used to do things. And then once, I learned years ago, selling is the transference of enthusiasm. So if architects and designers can get authentically enthusiastic about this material, then it's easy to sell because your clients can feel that energy coming off you. They want some of that, and that's easy. I would say how you get there is by, if you're off put, especially say in a conversation with me, if I show you a piece of wood and you just don't like that, it has a nail hole or something, exercise that, talk about it. Like, I don't like that black epoxy that you put in that hole. And then we can start thinking, well, maybe we want to put clear in there. Maybe we want to put a color in there. Maybe we want to put wood in there. So be authentic to your resistance. I would say look at those areas that you are resistant and try to explore and see if you can find a solution that actually moves you from resistant to excited. There are a lot of elements, the environmental aspect, the reputational aspect. I think we've done projects for Goldman Sachs, a company that has done a lot of questionable things to the planet. they are so excited about their reclaimed teak in their dining hall, you know? So even these kind of, we've had oil companies that do reclaimed teak stair treads and give tours and talk about how they're recycling materials. So, I would say look at your client's own, place in the world and give them some of these tidbits that they can then use in their marketing. They can let people know they may be an oil company, but they do some good for the planet too. So those are a couple things that I would say. And if anybody, I love to tee up talking points. If anybody has a specific conversation or a specific situation that we can help with, please reach out. We'd love to tee you up to be successful with a challenging customer.
Mhm. Awesome. All right, great. I guess kind of riffing off of that, like support that you can provide architects with kind of engaging with their clients around your products. What other types of support do you traditionally provide for designers, like throughout the design process? Do you like collaborate on drawings with them, or are there any kind of like, free drawing services you provide? Could you talk a little bit more about like that collaboration process?
Sure. Yeah, we engage early in the conversation in the project, and then we get you what you need. So we can send drawing details. We can help you with custom drawings. Certainly sampling, mock-ups are a big part of what we end up doing. And let's see, what else? I mean, just general information. It's really about communication, and we're very excited and passionate about what we do. So I think if you bring us into the conversation, you'll find that we're kind of a value add. We're not, as I said, and I authentically feel this way, we're not just trying to sell you wood. We're trying to educate, we're trying to inspire, we're trying to get this world to start looking other places for its building materials. So to that end, we'll do what it takes. The projects we work on are wonderful and high profile, not all of them, but and so we feel like we're having a lot of influence if we're successful. And
Yeah.
so that's kind of ultimately where we sit.
Awesome. All right, great. Well, I think that's kind of a great note to end on for today. I want to mention a few quick things to the audience. First of all, thank everyone so much for coming out and joining us today. We appreciate you attending. And I also wanted to mention that we have a quick post-event survey. So as you're leaving today's webinar, if you have any questions that come up for you, feel free to enter them on that survey. Also, if you can give us some feedback on how this webinar was for you, if it was relevant for you, that's always super helpful for us. We do have some helpful links in the chat. There's a link to the Slatted page on Acelab, as well as my colleague's meeting link if you want to get some info about using Acelab for your projects and product research. So feel free to grab any of those that you might need for later. All right, I think that covers it for me. But yeah, thank you so much, Andy, for a great presentation. It's always a pleasure to learn some more about your products and your company. And I hope everyone has a great rest of their Thursday.
Thanks a lot, Bo. That was great.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.